Hi everybody, so we're here at the Dover Transport Museum and we're in their machine shop. It's like having died and gone to heaven, and there is so much to notice here, but one thing that perhaps people don't really notice very much is the transmission system. The transmission system is here overhead, working from pulleys and belts, and a single power source, which is a Lister diesel, thumping away in the back. Every time they want to run a tool, they take a belt from the transmission and run it to the tool, and they have some awesome tools here. First up is their lathe. Now, looking at this stuff, you might think, well, that's either dangerous or quaint and completely outdated. But although we're seeing a big versions here and here on the drill press, these mechanisms are still very much in use today. You'll find them hidden away rather than being exposed, and you find them very much smaller. You'll find them in lathes, you'll find them in drills, you find them in bicycles, you find them in motorcycles, you find them in cars. They're absolutely all over the place. Now, to engage this, you press the flux pedal and it goes from an idling pulley to the input pulley, and that's where you get the engagement from in order to be able to run something like a drill press. But like I say, these mechanisms are far from dead. The only really good thing here is you can see them. They're large, you can see them, and you can see how they work and how that transfer of power from the pulley to a rotating crank to drive the hacksaw actually works. Modern day, all of that's still there, it's just very much smaller and hidden away. It's a funny thing, and I have this contention that we always rush to what we think is the important bit and ignore all of those things that surround us, and this happens so many times. Transmission systems and the way power moves from one point to another is a really good example of this, and there are many ways of moving power. Ropes, chains, belts, pulleys, gears, they're all great ways of taking the power from where it's produced and applied to where you need it. Apart from being smaller and hidden away, still doing the same job, the biggest difference is the distance over which that power is transmitted. Transmitting mechanical power over a large distance actually is quite difficult, and the distances involved tend to be in the order of meters, whereas you very often want something in the order of kilometers, and of course to do that you can't really use mechanical power transmission. So what we use is electrical power transmission. And we can do that because a generator and a motor are two sides of the same coin. The generator turns mechanical energy into electrical energy. We then transmit that along wires, and at the receiving end we take the electrical energy and turn it right back into mechanical energy. And so it's a much better, more efficient way of transmitting power over a long distance. Over short distances, the losses involved actually are quite high, and so it's better to transmit the mechanical power directly. Now, there are electrical power transmission systems over short distances. Push bikes are trying to use them, but they'll have the same problem of that loss through the double conversion rather than the direct mechanical to mechanical. Of course, no system is without its problems, and the idea of laying cables to run electrical power comes with its own problems. For a start, it's really expensive. It's expensive to gain the materials, it's expensive to put it in, it's expensive to maintain it. And there is an estimate that if everybody in the world were to have the same grid to the same quality as, say, Europe and the US, there just isn't enough copper in the world to provide that infrastructure. So it's clearly a problem, and of course people have been working on this for years, probably beginning with Tesla and the Wardenclyffe Tower, and with work from people like Constantine Mile. The near-field charging of mobile phones is another good example of how wireless transmission of electrical power is a very big deal, with lots of people looking into it for just those reasons. Of course, that view, to a degree, is the result of a mindset, and that mindset is one of the best. And it's something I'm constantly assailed with. Which is the best? When you think about the best, then you really need to think in terms of context. Because power transmission with electrical transmission is great if it's a long distance, a single point of generation and lots of points of distribution, which is why the grid is the way it is. But it's not necessarily the best in terms of efficiency when it comes to short distances. So it depends. I mean, if your idea of the best is something that looks cool, is relatively inefficient for what it does, and costs you an arm and a leg, then go for one of those chainless drive bicycles. That would be the best. But if your view of the best is more to do with efficiency, then you need to be looking at alternative solutions, solutions that actually fit the problem that you've got, because there's another problem with centralized generation. And that is, if it goes down, well, you haven't got any alternatives. There's nothing you can run because you're relying on one thing. So all your eggs are in one basket. When it comes to an efficient way of transmitting power over short distances from mechanical to mechanical, then mechanical systems turn out to be the best. And there are lots of jobs that we can do using mechanical systems. Of course, a lot of the time people don't want to do that because it takes a bit of effort, but even so, in efficiency terms, it would be considered the best. So what is the best is never going to be one solution, which is why we need to be looking at a whole range of solutions, including those solutions that were used in the past, are used today and hidden, and solutions that we perhaps haven't thought about, as well as exploring those really exciting and modern and new solutions. It's all one big basket of choices, and of course if you're not aware of them, you don't have the choices. To get aware of them, all you really need to do is look. Anyway, thank you very much for watching. I hope you enjoyed the video, and please do remember to like and subscribe.